What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Kyle Smith, Arizona drummer here, and I've got a really exciting one for you today. Today, we are talking all about drum racks. Now, there's a lot of discourse online about whether or not you should do a drum rack, whether or not you should do drum stands, and I think it really depends on the drummer, the size of the kit. If you're a weekend warrior, if you're out touring, or a YouTuber or session drummer like me, there's a lot of different things to consider when it comes to what makes the most sense for a rack system. Now again, the purpose of a rack system is twofold. One, to organize your drums, your cymbals, your hardware, maybe even your microphones, whatever the case is, into one system that is repeatable, ergonomic, and semi-permanent in the sense that once you set it, as long as you have memory locks and things like that, you can reset it back up and get it to a place where you like it. Now, the purpose of stands, of course, is they're much lighter, they're easier to fold up and put into hardware bags or hardware cases and take out on the road, as well as it gives you some flexibility if you need to quickly set up and tear down and you don't have a lot of time to fiddle with a rack. Now, the same argument can be said if you have a big drum set. So when I was touring with my band at Distant Calm way back in the day, I had 3 rack toms, 2 floor toms, 2 kick drums, and a boatload of cymbals. So I was using a Pearl Icon rack for that because all I had to do was set up the rack bar on the 2 legs, set it up over on this side, and then everything was a piece of cake because everything was already set up and established. But when I was touring with Zombeast, I was using 1 rack tom, 1 floor tom, a kick drum, a snare drum, a hi-hat, 2 crotches, a ride, and a china. So again, cymbal stands made a lot more sense. Quick turnovers to get the kit up and off the stage and then back on the stage, as well as gave me some flexibility to play in any size room. It allowed me the flexibility to essentially set up or tear down any configuration of my kit I need and not be so rigid on the rack. Now, I am a big fan of rack systems when it comes to studio use or YouTube use, or when you have a big kit like this. Again, I have 3 rack toms. Gosh, I would guess 15 cymbals, something like that. We can count them later. But what's great about that from a studio perspective is I know my drums are always set up in the same spot every single time. My microphones are set up in the same spot every single time. My cymbals are in the same spot every single time. If I break a cymbal and replace it, or I get a new cymbal or maybe a different drum set, it's as easy as taking the old piece off and putting a new one back on. So again, there's a lot of value when it comes to having a rack system. And again, when you're a big band like Disturbed or Slipknot or something like that, or Dream Theater for God's sakes, big drum sets, but more importantly, big crews to help support setting up the drums, great drum techs to help with that. Having a rack system can be really helpful there as well because it's the same night after night. There are tons of rack options out there. In fact, DW makes a rack, Tama makes a rack. Gibraltar is famous for the different racks that they have, whether it's their double bass racks, it's their stealth racks. But my rack of choice is the Pearl Icon rack. And there's a couple reasons why I choose that rack. One, I love Pearl hardware. If that wasn't evident by my kit, every single cymbal stand, with the exception of my hi-hat stand, is a Pearl cymbal stand. I think they're very durable. I think they last a long time. They look really great on camera. And I love the quick release locks on the cymbals. But also, Pearl is one of the only rack companies that doesn't use a circular tube for the main rack. So we do have the tubes for the legs, but it has a squared bar. What I love about that is when I've used racks in the past that are tubular, if you don't have memory locks or maybe you didn't tighten it enough, you have drums kind of tilting down while you're playing or cymbals kind of tilting down or tilting back. Whatever the case is, with a square, that's never gonna happen. It gets caught on those corners, it's set it, and you forget it. So I love that about the Pearl rack. Yamaha's similar, they have a hexagonal rack, but again, the Pearl rack is the one for me. Also, the Icon rack has an insane number of additions, clamps, extensions. You can get it with a full rack. You can get it with just a bar and 2 legs. You can get it with just a bar and 1 leg. You can get it with all kinds of stuff and build your rack custom, top to bottom, for whatever makes the most sense for you. In fact, our channel sponsor for today's video, Sweetwater, is the best place to find all things Pearl Icon rack. If you click on the Sweetwater page or the description down below, you'll see that there are all kinds of accessories. You can get clamp for cymbals, clamps for toms, clamps for accessories. You can extend the rack. You can get stuff that clamps to the rack. You can get all kinds of awesome goodies to build a rack that's custom to your needs. In fact, we're gonna go over a lot of those clamps today. But again, check out my Sweetwater landing page and check out sweetwater.com because they are the best place to go when you need anything for your Pearl Icon rack. They have every type of clamp, every type of extension, every type of bar, tube, whatever you want to call it. Sweetwater is the best place to go to get what you need for your custom rack build. Another great thing about Pearl is they come with a lifetime warranty. Everything you buy from Pearl comes with a lifetime warranty. There's a little bit of a price tag that comes with that, but there's also a lot of peace of mind that comes with getting a product that comes with a lifetime warranty. But why are we talking about racks today? Well, my rack, which has been in every single one of my videos really for the last, year, maybe 2 years, is incredible. I love it. There's some opportunities with how I have it set up, and as well as the cable management in this room leaves a lot to be desired. So in today's video, we're gonna take the drums apart. In fact, we have a DW design series that we got in from Cymbal Fusion that we're gonna then put on the rack. It's the exact same configuration, and you're gonna see the value of, I switched one drum set out for another, and it was exactly the same because of the rack and the memory locks that were in place. So we're gonna see that in this video, as well as we're gonna take the rack all the way down to its bare bars and build it back up from scratch, using the various clamps I have, using the various accessories I have, to really fine tune it and get it to a place where it's a little bit more ergonomic for the room, but also so it's set up a little bit more comfortably for me and customized to this DW Collector's kit. But before we get into that, please make sure, if you haven't already, check out our merch store. We have all kinds of goodies. We have hoodies, shirts, mugs, stickers, hats, shorts, and everything in between, guys. And the proceeds to that come right back here so we can continue to invest in this channel and make more educational and hopefully entertaining content like this. Now, if you already have all the Arizona Drummer merch you can get your hands on, then consider becoming a Patreon member. For just $5 a month, you get all kinds of goodies like behind the scenes, exclusive content, first looks, cover requests, and so much more. Then over here, for just $10 a month, you get all of that plus personalized name shoutouts, live Q&As, lessons, personalized phone calls if that's something you're interested in. So there's a lot to be had here when it comes to becoming a Patreon member. But also, if you're just looking for a way to support the channel, all of those proceeds directly come right back to this channel, so that way we can continue to invest in making the best quality content for each and every one of you. Now I'll take my salesman hat off and let's get into taking this rack apart. Alright guys, and just like that, because of the rack system, I was able to get this DW Design Series kit that we unboxed for our buddies at Cymbal Fusion put back in the exact same spot that the Collector Series kit was set up, because the rack had all of the mounts already in place. So as you can see, and I'll come around the other side, we got our floor toms in the same place, our microphones in the same place, our ride cymbal, all the cymbals over here, camera, and here are the 3 toms, all in the exact same mounting position because of the rack. Snare drums in the same place, pedals, all my cymbals, everything is in the, even the microphones and the smaller effect cymbals are all in the same place because of the rack. But now that we've sound tested the DW Design Series kit, I have to take this kit off, get it repackaged in the packages it came in so I can send it back to my buddy at Cymbal Fusion, and then we're taking the whole rack apart so we can fix some of those issues I talked about earlier. It's gonna be a lot of work, but it's gonna be so worth it when we're done. Now, let's get into it. right guys, so we got everything off the rack. We just got done vacuuming the rug in here. And for those of you who might not know, I do have like a little platform in here that the drums sit on. But yeah, all the drums are off. We got all the pieces of the rack, all the cymbals over here. Quite a mess. And then a lot of the, like where we normally record, this guy is gone. Out there, we're gonna move it, like I said, over here where the drums are right now. But the next step is now to build the rack up again. And I'm going to base the rack all around the kick drum. So I had built the rack based on my Pearl Masters Maple Gum kit. And then I kind of just manipulated it a little bit to make the SJC kit fit. And then instead of like updating it when I got the DW kit, I just left it and kind of put the DW kit where the SJC kit was. So, you know, with different cymbals, new drums, everything kind of set up different. I want to use the bass drum as the main starter of this, and then we'll build the rack around that. All right, so like I said, we're gonna start with the kick drum, and I'm gonna put it up on the foundation here. And just kind of get it in a place where it looks good, but also I want it as far forward as possible while still having room for the kick blocks. The only problem is it's really far over to the right, and we've got to fit a whole side of the rack over. So my thought is actually more centered, something like this. And this is basically right almost in the center. This would probably be center, but I want it a little bit off center. And my pedal will go here. Snare will be here. And now, because again, there's a side rack piece over here, and there is not on this side, there is just the straight rack bar that goes across. I think by having the kick here, it creates a little bit more symmetry, but also a little bit more spacing, because now I can get in the kit without having to like go under cymbals and stuff. So everything is going to be built around that. So the toms are going to sit on top of it, likely 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Now I have more space for the ride, the china, all the stuff I want over here. And the other piece of the rack will pretty much come out right to the, you can't see me anymore, but like right to the edge, which is fine because I'll still have this wall to get in and out of the kit. So if you can see now, that's where the kick drum is. I have kick blocks. Now, ouch, although the DW spurs are very well made, and I don't really ever run into any issues with them. I hit hard enough, it could become a problem. So what I'm gonna do, actually I want to face the logos faced out, just put one right here, and I'm gonna do the same thing over here, except for, actually, let's move that a little bit. There we go. By having two of those, this kick is not going anywhere, and we've got our first piece set. Hey. How are you? Now let's get onto the rack. So this is our straight bar. I also have, and I'll put it in the description or on the screen, these like little extender pieces that go to the side legs. Because again, I used to have a double bass kit. In between here, I do still have 3 effect cymbals, 3 toms. So I do still want as much space here as possible, but I think that's what was pushing out the rack a little further than I wanted it. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna loosen this guy and actually turn it. So that way we're getting more long ways and not so much width. I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. This is the leg for the left side of the rack. You can kind of see it's not exactly centered, so I do wanna center that really quick. You just need a drum key to do that. Pull it towards me and then tighten it back up. And what's great about Pearl, because they updated this design, I think in 2020, but again, I'll correct myself on the screen, is they used to have it as like one unit, but now you can see there is a joint here that allows you to decide where on the bar you want it to be, and a joint here, which ensures that it's kept up vertical, and really robust, grippy legs. So this is our left side of the kit. All right, so there are 2 problems with the side rack. The first one is this leg is turned vertically. So what that means is, and I did that, I wanted it to fit in the space that I had, but again, you might be able to see that. It's really wobbly because of that. So we're gonna fix that. It's actually not even straight on the bar. So we're gonna make sure the bar is plumb and level so that way we don't have any of that wobbling while we're playing. And then the back leg, because again, I was trying to make it fit on the platform, is shunted all the way to one side. So again, it wasn't really providing a lot of stability. I'm just gonna kind of drop this down and get this tightened up right here. But I'm also gonna take advantage and turn the leg. You might not be able to see that, but now the leg is horizontal. I'll show you once we get this set in place. What I'm seeing here is this is not at all level. And part of it's because this is no longer level. This bar is going up. So we need it to come back down over here. So we have a memory lock. Loosen this guy. Just bring it all the way down for now. You always want to put your memory locks on first, because once you've got it on, you're going to put the lock on top, and that kind of defeats the purpose of putting the lock on. The purpose of the lock is, as you take these apart, it should save your place. So we're going to loosen this, and I'm just looking at this level, and we are level. So now I can tighten this, and I'm going to go ahead and fix the leg down here. Boom. We are still plumb, we're still level. Now what we're gonna do, put our memory lock right here and lock this sucker in place. If for any reason I have to take this rack off, this bar, I can easily put it right back where it used to be. And now I've got all this functional room here. Right over here on top of this stand, you can see there's actually, I think it's a PCX 100. I'll correct myself somewhere on the screen, but this just gets put on with an Allen key. You just take the little cap off that looks a little bit like this. There's caps on the top of all these tubes, and you can just peel it right off, slide this guy on, and now you can put cymbal stands, tom stands, whatever you need right here in the leg. All right guys, so now what I'm doing is basically putting the front rack on and trying to make sure it's level, but also that it's looking good with the overlap with the kick drum. It's really important to make sure that there's enough space for the rack toms and the cymbals, but also that it's level and that it's not too far away from the kick drum. It's also not too high. There, that's level right there. And now it's much closer to the kick drum. And we got our memory lock in place. Everything's tight. Perfect. Okay, this is gonna work. And everything is level. Again, we're using a level to make sure that everything is gonna be sitting flush and we're not gonna be seeing that crazy wobble while we play. And one of the things I really didn't like before was I had my tom arms on these like straight clamps, but these Gibraltar ball sockets don't go too far forward. We're gonna put them on the clamps that have an angle to them, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So these pearl clamps, again, this is where that square rack is super helpful, but they have an angle adjustment, so you can loosen this and you can like choose the angle you want whatever that stand is to be. So now what I'm doing is just kind of dry fitting the toms, and I'm using the memory locks to make sure that the toms are where I want them to be. It's important to do this just to kind of start. So, you know, right there, I've put the 8-inch on, now I'm putting the 10-inch on, and I'm kind of just all aligning it to the 8-inch, making sure that they're angled correctly, they're the right height, that they're as far away from me as I want them to be. Just again, comfort, ergonomics is key here. So now I've got the 12-inch on. You should see what I'm talking about here, where the angle is much more pleasing. They're pretty much spot on right there. And there's probably actually a good amount of space where the kicks are gonna go. Okay, so now I've got the toms where I want them. And you can kind of see it's similar to what the SJC kit was, where you have the 10-inch is kind of like your center star, and the 8 and 12 turn towards it. But now what I want to do is get our splash cymbals in place. All right guys, so now what we're doing is putting the effect cymbals on. So we've got the splash, the mini China, and then the last splash here. On the camera, we're looking pretty good, but Okay, so right off the bat, these are too low. So we're gonna grab this, bring it up just a hair, bring it a little closer, and just like that. That feels good. So we'll do the same thing to the rest of them. Okay, this is one of the great things about a rack system is we can kind of adjust as we go. Boom. Now I've got full range of motion. I think these guys maybe can come a little bit closer. Or this guy, excuse me. Okay, let's make sure we're straight. All right, so now, okay, so this is not gonna go there. I was gonna put the ride symbol here, but the crash symbol I think makes more sense right there. All right guys, so now what we're doing, we're putting on the boom stands and getting the crash symbol in place. And now we're moving over to the right side of the rack where we're gonna put in the ride symbol as well as the 2 floor toms, making sure that it's in a good spot. I use the ride a lot, so I wanna make sure that it's the right height, the right distance, and that it's not gonna be in the way every time I open the door, which we achieved right here. Really good positioning. But we also have to fit in our main china, which is a 19-inch AAX Extreme china. So we've got that in place here, and I really wanted to fit the 18-inch complex crash on this side with also having clearance but not overlapping the china too much. So right here is where I realized I need to kind of angle it so it's not overlapping with the china, but I also have space with the wall. All right, cool. All right, so last 2 symbols. Then we move over to the left side of the rack where we're putting on our secondary crash and getting that in place, as well as our china symbol. We're using some different clamps, trying to make it fit in this space without having another rack bar. And then now we're gonna put the mics on. So again, the microphone stands sticking out was a big pet peeve of mine. So we were able to get it to a place where there's minimal sticking out, but we're also still achieving good head contact with the microphones. We're moving on to the last ton here, the 12-inch. This one sticks out a little farther. But then we move into the 14-inch, getting that placed on the rack, and the 16-inch on a CH70 stand. All right guys, so here's the rack all set up. We've got our camera back on over here using the small rig multi-clamp, as well as that's a DJI Osmo Action 5, so I'll have that in the description below. We've got our Audix D6 mounted right here to the CH70. Our HHX complex crash coming right off the rack like that, but again, we have that clearance now. We've got our china in place. We've got our BFM World Ride here. Both of our floor times in a good place with, again, our D4, and I'll go around the other side and show this to you, but our Audix D4 coming right off of the rack as well. We've got our main crash here, the AAX heavy crash with our overhead mic coming right off the rack, right above these symbols. You can kind of see what that looks like all configured. We got all the toms in a really good angle and a really good place. In fact, just to kind of showcase, this is me sitting, my hands can touch all the drums. So when you add a stick to it, I now have a lot more space to get to reach the drums. Everything's a lot closer to me. And we achieved that with those angled clamps that we'll look at in just a second. But then again, we've got all the microphones coming off the rack as well. And then all of our cymbals now level and much closer so I can reach them better. Our auxiliary crash here, our HHX red light crash, coming right off the PCX 100. We've got our iPhone mount right here with a charging cable. Our china coming right off the rack. And then down here, of course, we have our hi-hat stand with our double pedal and our snare. Here's our double pedal down there. We've got our snare mic coming right off with another CH70. So that's what our D6 is on the other side. Then down here below, we've just got a Gator Works holding another i5 for the bottom of the snare. Then inside the kick, if this will work, we've got our Kelly Shoe mic mount system in there. We use this clamp here, which again, I'll put the name on the screen because I can't remember it for the life of me, coming up to get our boom stand for the cymbals right here, as well as we used a Pro multi-clamp to get this china coming up and over where we want it. And on that same china stand, we have another small rig multi-clamp with a cell phone attachment right there, so we can put our iPhone right there. This is what I was talking about before, one of those 6-inch extenders, which is coming off the leg. So it just gave us a lot more space to get this rack forward, but also have the stability and get this china where it needs to be. Then again, we've got the CH80s, which are the full booms for our Audix D2s that are going on all the toms. We've got our Pearl logo here. We've got Mr. Rocket Raccoon as our mascot here. Down here, we have another one of those clamps. It's a long version, which is holding on to our CH80, which is then carrying our D4 over to the 14-inch. That's holding this D6 in place for the 16-inch. That was a lot of work. But all right, guys, there you have it. The rack is set up. It's in a way that gives me enough space in the room to do what I need to do, as well as everything is set in its place. You get to see the DW design going up, the collectors coming off, the collectors going back up, and all the different clamps we used to make this rack happen. In fact, I will actually have a list of all of the clamps, bars, tubes, accessories, everything that we used down in the description below, including the different cymbal stands, the mic stands, everything you can need to build a one-of-a-kind, everything off the ground custom rack just like this one. And again, check it out at sweetwater.com. You'll see the links below. It is the best place to go when you need anything for your Pearl Icon rack. They have all the different clamps and accessories that you could ever need to build this custom rack for yourself. But again, guys, I'm so excited, so stoked to have this thing set up ergonomically, but believe it or not, this is just part one of a studio rebuild. The first part of it was, let's get this room to be a little bit more ergonomically set up and get the kit in a place where it's way more comfortable and I have more space to get in and out of it so I'm not ducking in and out. So I'm not ducking in and out when I need to get in and out of the kit, as well as makes it easier for me to turn the lights on, get the microphones going, things like that. But as you saw in the last clip, none of the microphones are plugged in because in part two, we are actually updating our recording interfaces, as well as we're going to set up some cable management for all the microphones running a different way in the room. Clean all that up so it looks a little bit nicer in here, so it'll be easier to navigate, and I'm going to showcase some brand new interfaces. Now, in order to see that, learn what interfaces we're talking about, and hear what they sound like, you got to make sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification, and come back to the channel when that goes live. You do not want to miss it because, again, these are some really, really exciting and brand new for 2025 interfaces. So I'm really excited to hear what that's gonna sound like, as well as expands our inputs so we can get maybe some more cymbals, more drums, more microphones, more. I'm sorry. Anyway, now down in the comments below, let me know what you think. Rack, no rack, stealth racks, stands. What's your preference as a drummer? How do you set up your kit, and what do you think is the best method for a drummer? It's unique for everyone, but I'm curious to hear what you think. So make sure to leave me a comment down below. I do read every single comment and I try to respond to every single one. So make sure, let me know what your preference is. But with that, guys, that's gonna close up today's video. Thank you so much for coming along this journey with me while we talked about the values of having a rack, how to get one set up and configured for your space, for your kit that's most comfortable and ergonomic for you. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That's the easiest and cheapest way to support the channel here at Arizona Drummer, and that support goes a really long way. We've grown by tens of thousands this year, and it's because of each and every one of you liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing these videos. So please continue to do so. But with that, I will see you in the next one. That doesn't use a circle.